When I was about 11, I started having seizures. My mom was a nurse, and her schooling leaned so strongly and believed in Western medicine. Yet she was Native, and my dad was Native. My dad raised us Lakota Sioux. So we have this core, and I use the word hochoka, this part of you that is eternal. Draw upon that power to navigate and move the needle of the physical world. So my mom had these conflicting thoughts. She would be all about Western medicine, every MRI, CAT scan, everything. And then when it wasn't giving her answers, she had this spiritual intuition to be like, Brandy, you can control this. And it planted that seed of belief that, okay, well, I have to lean into myself because I'm not finding answers outside of myself. When I was 15, my mom hit a whole new level of trying to find a physical world answer. And they induced seizures. Strapped my head up to these electrodes and had me tied down with a strobe light in my eyes. The strobe light started to go, and there I went into this most vicious series of seizures that they couldn't stop. That was when my dad ran out of this hospital into his truck where he had his sage and his rock and the feather that he smudged me with. And he came in and started to burn that sage and pray over me. Of course, all the doctors and nurses were like, no, but you couldn't possibly talk my dad into not doing what he was going to do. He starts to smudge me immediately. Like a light switch, the seizures stop. I never had a seizure again. April, May of my junior year, I ended up hurting my back. That powwow season, I still danced because I was so used to mind over matter that I didn't go to the doctor. I kept competing and winning throughout the summer. And it wasn't until probably October or November that finally the pain was just too much. Went into the doctor and they found that I had ruptured discs. We had to do surgery. Time went by, ended up having Dimitri when I was 20. When he was about 1, I was so depressed. I remember asking myself in my throes of my depression, what makes you happier than anything in the world? And the answer was my family, of course. And then after that, it was dancing. I started to jog because I needed to get strong again. And all of a sudden, I started having this strange feeling in my head. That led to the next day being worse to the point where my eyes were affected. The following day being even worse, where I'm slurring. Mom, in her Western medicine mind again, asks me to go to the doctor. She thinks I'm having a stroke. I went to the doctor and they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. My father-in-law knew that there must be something spiritually happening. He held a ceremony for me that night. And the man who ran the ceremony was standing in the middle of this room. All the lights are off to make sure it's very dark. Next thing you know, 2 birds, the spirit, manifested in front of me as a woman. I could feel those buckskin dress fringes tap against my legs. I was in such this place in my mind that I knew I was gonna die if this didn't work, if this didn't heal me. I could feel the boniness of her fingers, and she had one hand on my forehead. As she pulled with her hand, I could feel this suction that was going from the base of my skull down my neck into the center of my back. It was the thickness. She'd pull on it and it would go back in. This ceremony is really strong. Our prayer songs are happening. The Spirit is working on me in a very physical way. So our prayers, our songs, our sounds, our culture, our everything, and my willingness to lean so wholeheartedly into this, to meet Spirit, to reach, was what allowed my body to let go of that thickness, whatever it was in my head and my neck and my spine. Finally, on the fourth time, she pulled it out. All of a sudden, it felt loose and airy in there. It almost feels like if you were to have an electrical circuit hooked to you because they're raising your frequency. Frequency can be measured, but the way that I go about it has been a very intimate learning experience, all of my own. It is just me and my guides, the communication with the wind, the communication with fire, knowing that all these things are living around us. That's what I get from my culture. There's threads of truth, there's common threads that run through everything, that is the connective source of all that is. There is no one right culture. There is no one right way of anything.